Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. This one's gonna be a little bit like of a news update. We're gonna talk about a few things, but the theme is gonna be that we were right all along. So let's get right into it. There's gonna be two things to cover. First, Sidney Powell's getting sued by Dominion, and it's also not just Sydney. It's Giuliani, it's Newsmax, it's a lot of people. They're going after him. And the second one is that the Biden border strategy takes a turn. So we're gonna go over both these and just have a little bit of a conversation about what's going on, and that'll be it. So starting with the first topic, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and Newsmax sued by Dominion executive forced into hiding. Your reckless disinformation campaign is predicated on lies that have endangered Dominion's business and the lives of its employees. While soliciting people to send you millions of dollars, you have purposely avoided naming Dominion as a defendant in your sham litigation, denying Dominion the opportunity to disprove your false accusations in court. So oh man, the way they ended this is really good. I liked it. Denying Dominion the opportunity to disprove your false accusations in court. Like, I didn't know about this, but basically what's happened is that when Sidney Powell was using all those lawsuits, she wasn't naming Dominion, so they weren't a part of the case. And so what they're saying is they never even got the chance to just like counter what she was saying because she wasn't accusing them in the actual litigation. Like, she was citing Dominion, but she wasn't litigating against Dominion. And then it goes on to say Giuliani pushed the vote switching conspiracy and even falsely alleged that Dominion was a front. The company issued an extensive lawsuit threat to Fox News, Newsmax, OAN. The threat prompted Fox News to air segments debunking the false claims made by its hosts and guests about Smartmatic, and multiple Newsmax hosts were forced to give on-air clarifications about the fraudulent claims. That's the bottom sentence right there that I forgot to highlight. But this is very interesting. And I think, I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's a clip where Newsmax goes on to issue like a clarification on the issue with like the Dominion machines. I think they say something like, "Oh, there's no like evidence for this" or something. I'll try to find the clip and then include it in the description for you guys. But if not, I think you can just look up like Newsmax denies like conspiracy. Anything along those lines, like I'm sure you can find the clip. But very interesting. And I think Fox News may have started this like debunking segment when Tucker Carlson did his little speech on Sidney Powell not coming to Fox News. So, you know, like, this is good because, well, granted, like, I don't think any like super diehard MAGA fans are gonna have any meaningful reaction to this. I think the reaction we'll see from like passionate like Trump fans is that this is only confirmation of the conspiracy to them. Like, oh, look at how Dominion is like silencing Sidney Powell and all that. When like the answer, and most of the time, like, the answer is very simple. Like, Sidney just lied. Like, it's very simple. There's rarely any complicated backstory to what's going on. Um, and then, yeah, like they say, fuck around and find out. And yeah, Sidney Powell's finding out real good right now. So it's been a fun time for her, I guess. All right, it's Biden's turn, guys. We're gonna talk about what Biden's been up to. Biden's Homeland Security pick is no border softy. I think this article was printed November 20th. So this one's a little old, but the next one that we're going to talk about is from 2 days ago. Yeah. So if Biden hits reverse too hard, it could cost him politically. Migrants will do little to hurt the U.S., but their presence will rile up law and order voters. This is a really stupid take, in my opinion. Like, why does it matter? The whole reason why these supporters get riled up is because they have some fantasy about what migrants will do to our country. The only way you meaningfully address that is by forcing them to confront their fear. And like, by doing this, you just validate like those concerns. Like, oh, we're gonna take it slowly. Like I don't think this is probably going to rile them up more than anything else. That could hurt Biden with constituencies like Hispanic voters who live in the Texas border counties. Again, like the election is over. The election is over, my guy. What are you worried about? Constituencies voting for who? For what? Like sure, yeah, they swung hard for Trump in 2020. You will have 4 years to do something about that. This is not going to be the make or break decision for how you win back these counties. I think it's ridiculous. The new administration is unlikely to embrace open borders, decriminalize unauthorized border crossing. Expect Biden's policy to be more welcoming than Obama's, but not nearly, but not as many activists would like. And yeah, it's just not nearly as welcoming. So yeah, this was, like I said, about a month ago. So we already got a sneak peek at how like Biden was going to shift the narrative. Because if you guys remember, like during the campaign, like he was making projecting like this idea that he's going to reverse a lot of what Trump did on day one, right? And I think this rhetoric that we're seeing here was just a primer to get people ready to accept what was happening later, right? And I think like it's dressed up in a way that like kind of gets people to think like, oh yeah, like this is rational, right? Like this makes sense, you know. Nobody wants to just, you know, start pissing off American citizens as soon as they get into office. The problem is, right, that if that was how he felt, he should have done so during the campaign, right? All this tells us is he said what his voters wanted to hear while he ran, and now he says what the other side wants to hear once he's been picked. Right? Like you can't play both sides. This is the problem with like that a lot of people have with mainstream like long-term sitting politicians is they just try to catch everybody. Like commit to something. Stand up for what you believe in or don't bother. Biden says he'll reverse Trump and immigration policies, but wants guardrails first. President-elect Joe Biden will keep his pledge to roll back restrictive asylum policies, but at a slower pace than initially promised. And I think the ending, actually, I didn't highlight it, but to avoid winding up with 2 million people on the border. And then while I was looking up for this headline, or when I was reading this article, I pushed it back and looked up to see if I could find some more information on this, and I ended up going on Reddit where they were talking about this. And so I took this post from Reddit. Any thoughts on this? My extreme left friends are pointing this out as hypocrisy from Biden. And then the response, it sounds like Biden actually wants to make sure it's done properly. So yeah, two things on this. First, let's talk about the policy. The language here again, right? Like avoid winding up with 2 million people at the border. It's just fear mongering. It's literally fear mongering. Like oh my gosh, it's the same type of rhetoric that we're used to see from Republicans. And the only thing different here is that it's dressed up in a little bit of a nicer, more, you know, rational, pragmatic tone of like, you know, oh, we'll do it. We're just going to take our time, make sure we do it right, which is exactly what you see it like on the Reddit post, right? So specifically on that post, any thoughts on this? My extreme left friends are pointing this out as hypocrisy from Biden. Yeah, they're right. Like this is hypocrisy from Biden. And in the response about wanting to make sure it's done properly, it doesn't matter, right? Doing it properly is step 2. The hypocrisy comes first because you can't shift your language from campaign to actual term without acknowledging the hypocrisy there, right? Even if he's doing this because he wants to do it right, then you should say that from the get-go. And if you're going to commit to a certain behavior, then you should follow through. Or else you're just slapping your voters in the face. So that's the problem here, right? It doesn't matter, right? Because before we even talk about what's the proper way to handle the situation, there are promises made that need to be kept. And if they're not kept, it's already a disservice. You're already not doing things properly, right? You can't use this argument of like, oh, I want to do it right, if you've already broken that chain by not following through on a promise. Like, do you see what I'm saying here? Like, the first step here is to follow through on campaign promises. The rest is a wash. It doesn't matter after that point. But that's all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And then here are all the sources, so you guys can go and read these articles yourself. The last one about from the Washington Post that I was just talking about is going to be a pretty short article. It just contains the quote from Biden. So there's probably going to be more information on this coming out, but for now, this is what I had. Again, thank you all for watching. Everybody have a wonderful day. There's going to be another upload tonight, so I'm going to be working on that. But since I saw this and I found it super interesting, I wanted to share, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again. Peace out.